Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Throat Punch Thursday.
Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Who's ready?
It's Throat Punch Thursday, bitch.
Why does that never get old? I don't know. I'm sorry. And for those of you who are tuning in and you are sensitive of language, apologize about that last little part. But you know what? It is what it is. We're grown adults. This is an adult show. Not necessarily for the Chitlins, but you know what? The Chitlins may tune in. And, well, I don't know. I apologize. Not really trying to apologize for the language, but we still enjoy it. So we enjoy it, so we hope you will enjoy it. And you can forgive the the language, shall we say, there at the end. But anyway, I'm here today. You're here today. Mike is on his way. He is currently in his car attempting to get back to location Bravo. I have the bat line open so that should he arrive in time to be able to join us for the program, we will add him in. Otherwise, it's going to be me and it's going to be you. And we are live on a bunch of different platforms. If you're watching this program right now, 3 p.m. Pacific to 6 p.m. Eastern, let us know what's up. Go ahead and alert us. Tell us what's up. Go ahead and chat. I am following all of the comments in the chat. And what's really neat is it all comes into one place. And needless to say, our good friend Alberto is tuning in right now. And he is right here, like at 3:01. He is chiming in via YouTube. Sorry, Alberto. Mike's not here right now, but he will be. In any case, we're going to have a good time. You're here. I'm here. We're here. We're going to be talking politics. We're going to be talking Second Amendment. We're going to be talking winning because that's exactly what the president has going on right now. But before we get into all of that, we're going to do what we do, and that is start with a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries. If you are looking to do a brand new rifle build, or maybe you're looking to rebarrel your current rifle, you need to check out Hitman Industries. They have rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length. Just go to hitmanindustries.net. That's hitmanindustries.net and check them out today. Then we've got the California Republican Assembly working to help elect conservatives at all level of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. Ronald Reagan once referred to CRA as the conscience of the Republican Party. You need to go to cragop.org. That's cragop.org and check them out. If you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And now let's talk about the best in concealed carry tactical holsters that are available on the market. You will find them at Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. That's right. Helping Americans wear guns. You go there, check them out. You will find a custom holsters available for you, no matter what your setup is, no matter what optic you may have, no matter what lights you may have, no matter what firearm you may have. Trust me, they can hook you up. Go there, check them out, and if you find something that you like, and I'm pretty sure you will, just use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces, one word, just like it is right up there, and you're going to get a discount on us. Check them out today. That's hogholsters.com. And then finally, if you're looking to purchase tactical gear for your club, for your department, for your unit, you need to go to uscombatgear.com. They have a huge selection of tactical gear. They have winter gear. They have summer gear. They have wet weather gear, cold weather gear, snow gear. You name it, they have it. Go there, check it out. They have a huge selection. They've got competitive prices. And the best part about it is the best, I can say this again, the best customer service available on the market. They are veteran owned and operated. Check them out today. That's uscombatgear.com. All right, let's go ahead and let's get into today's news stories. And, with Democrats, you can't seem to win. Because no matter what Trump does, they're going to find something to be angry and upset about. They were mad. They were mad and upset and angry about the tariffs. The very same tariffs that were being proposed by Adam Shifty Schiff. The very same tariffs that were being proposed. I'm sorry, not Adam Schiff, but we'll get into him. The very ones that were being promoted by Schumer. The very same ones that were being promoted by Nancy Pelosi. Donald Trump is proposing these tariffs to go after the various different countries with which we have trade imbalances. Specifically, though, the tariffs that he sought to institute with China. Well, they went after him. They said he's trying to ruin the economy and he's trying to tear down. This is going to be a horrible outcome, right? They're talking about how he's trying to tank the economy. Well, then he comes up at the last minute and decides, you know what? We're going to put a 90-day pause on tariffs. In particular, with all of the countries that have reached out, about 70 countries that have reached out and said, we want to negotiate a fairer trade deal. In other words, one that less disadvantages the United States and yet doesn't impose significant tariffs on them. Now, this was with everybody except for China, who decided that they were going to do retaliatory taxes. They wound up increasing the taxes on them. Well, after he announced that, we saw the biggest one-day gain in the market. I mean, the biggest turnaround in market history is what we saw in one day because the markets responded, right? The markets responded to exactly what the president was doing. And sure enough, Democrats were not happy with that. They were so unhappy with that now they're turning around and they're asking for congressional investigations to investigate the president for, wait for it, insider trading.
I think we need a full independent investigation into who was trading, who made money, who knew what, and when they knew it. You know, the American people have a right to know that policy is being made only with their interests in mind and not the individual financial interests of people in the Trump administration or Trump family that figure out how to make money on the side hustle. Is that just outright market manipulation occurring right in front of us? And how many side deals, backroom deals, deals back in the shadows are all going on at the same time as well? Look, it shouldn't be an investigation by Democrats or Republicans. It should be an independent investigation. And if the president and his cabinet and his family have nothing to hide, they should want an investigation like that. Let's just clear up the smoke here.
When the president sends out a tweet saying it's time to buy, you can bet his friends who are in the know are buying. Unfortunately, this became a cash and carry White House. Over and over again, we see evidence of self-dealing and efforts to improve your bottom line net worth with the policies of this administration. I think it deserves the closest scrutiny.
They missed no opportunity to take a dig at President Trump. It's pretty obvious that when the stock market's in a dip that maybe if you have some money, you might consider investing and make some money when it picks back up again. I think any idea of insider trading.
Writing to the White House to demand who knew in advance that the president was going to once again flip-flop on tariffs, and are people cashing in? There is just all too much opportunity for people in the White House and the administration to be insider trading, and you can't put it past them for a minute. So we're going to try to find out. Well, I think Congress should do an investigation into this, but we're going to demand answers from the administration. I think you're right, they're likely to stonewall, particularly if they've been engaged in corrupt insider trading. But they won't be able to hide it for good. I mean, we know who's in the administration. We can look at eventually what people are buying and selling. This will come out. But an administration that has their own meme coins and is already engaged in self-interested dealing with Elon is doging agencies that are doing oversight of their own businesses. In that kind of corrupt climate, you have to assume the worst, and we're going to try to find out.
So, to be clear, there's no evidence right now. There's no reason to believe that anyone is insider trading. But the guy, keep in mind, that there's a reason why I cut to that last one. I wanted you to hear from Adam Schiff for Brains. Yeah, I said Schiff for Brains, yes. There's a reason why I want to show him, because this is the guy who spent 4 years, the entire Trump administration, saying, oh yeah, no, I have clear-cut evidence. There is clear-cut evidence that President Trump has been involved with the Russian and is a Russian puppet and is controlled by the Russian government and is colluding with the Russians and colluded with them to steal the election. And 4 years later, or no, I'm sorry, we're now 8 years later, no evidence. In fact, the investigations that were done showed there was no evidence. There absolutely, positively was no evidence. Now, that is not to say that Russians didn't play a part in trying to get Trump elected. I didn't say that. I did not say that. But there was absolutely no collusion between the president, between Donald Trump and the Russians. In fact, the evidence that did come out was the collusion that did take place was between Hillary Clinton, the DNC, to put together the Steele dossier that would be used as basically as the thing that was behind the Russia investigation, the Russian hoax, to begin with. Dude is a liar. Now, here's what I don't get. What I don't get is this, is that you've got them saying, look, Trump, you need to not do this. You need not do this. It's irresponsible for you to do this, right? And then when he doesn't do it, they say, oh, well, this is irresponsible. You must be insider trading. You must be cheating. I'm sorry, but the man is already a multi-billionaire. All right? He's already a multi-billionaire. Why do you think he needs to work or coordinate with somebody to cheat to try and make more money? Really? Once again, it all comes down to this. It all comes down to the fact that what he's doing is working. And in this case, and I'm just going to say this, I don't think anybody really knew that the president was going. Now, I won't say anybody. I don't think there were. I think there were a lot of people who did not know. Most people within the administration did not know he was going to do this. When everything first came down, you saw some people in the administration, including the White House spokesperson, right, come out and say, "Look, you failed. You have not been watching the art of the deal. Clearly, this was all part of the plan." Yada, yada, yada. And then when Trump himself was asked, he said, well, look, I saw how people were responding. I saw that 70 nations reached out. I saw that the bond markets were heading south. And that was, by the way, an important one. Because what was happening was the bond market, in particular the Japanese, who are the biggest holders of our bonds, one of the biggest holders of our bonds, they started selling off our bonds. Why? Because they predicted, or at least they were looking at, they were like, okay, people are divesting from the stock market, and we're going to be looking, we got to look someplace else to put our money. And what the concern was that if prices go up, that's going to push inflation up. Inflation goes up, interest rates go up. What does that do to the value of the bonds that they are holding? The value of the bonds that they're holding goes down, right? So the value of because they're all largely lower interest rate bonds. So they wanted to sell them so that if interest rates were to go up, and they could then buy bonds that would be at a higher interest rate. So anyway, all that having been said, Trump saw what was happening and he's like, look, okay, wrong move. Let me fix this. And that's exactly what he did. See, this is someone who at least is willing to admit, okay, I'm headed the wrong direction. I'm willing to reverse course. Isn't that what we want in a leader? Don't we want somebody who, once they recognize something is heading in a wrong direction, that they're going to try and get it going in the right direction? Or do we want someone who's going to stay the course on something that they know is heading in a wrong direction? If they know you're heading for a cliff, should we stick with a leader? Do we want a leader who's going to take the nation over, in this case, an economic cliff? Now, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm glad that he did it. It's something that I believed he should have done in the first place. But I also know this. Even if he was planning on doing this in the first place, you don't tell everybody. You don't show your cards. If you're bluffing, the last thing you do is show everyone your cards or tell everyone that you are bluffing. If there is one thing to take out of the art of the deal, it is that. right? If there's one thing to take out of the art of the deal as you are playing the game, if you see the situation change, let's say you're playing Texas Hold'em, right? And all of a sudden you think you're about to play into a full house, and it turns out that you don't have it, and based on the cards that are showing, someone else has a better hand, guess what you do? You fold. If situations change, there's nothing wrong with reevaluating your position and changing it. But see, they now want to take it a whole different direction. They're like, no, not only did he change his mind, because they can't give him credit for doing the right thing, right? They can't give him credit for doing the right thing. So what they have to do is now blame him or accuse him of doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons. Or in this case, doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, because that's how Democrats work. Democrats don't care about outcomes. They don't. Unless the outcome is bad for the enemy and good for them, then that's the only time they care about outcomes, right? If it's bad for Republicans, then they care about the outcome. If it's good for Democrats, then they care about the outcome. Their thing is intent. What was the intent? And in their eyes, the intent for a Democrat is always good, even if the outcome is bad. And their intent for Republicans is always bad, even if the outcome is good. That's how they roll. That's how, in their eyes, Republicans are always evil, even if their policies work. And that's what they claim every single time. Because you go back and you look at the first Trump administration. You look at the fact that household income went up for the first time in generations. You look at there was a greater investment in historically black colleges and universities. You look at the fact that economically we pulled out of a doldrum that was the new normal that Barack Obama claimed was the new normal of 2% or less growth. But he gets no credit for it. He gets no credit for brokering the Abraham Accords, which brought 3 different Muslim nations into right relationship or good, positive relationship and recognizing the right of Israel to exist. He gets no credit because obviously because he's a Republican and because he's Donald Trump, his motivation was evil. That's how they roll. Doing the right thing doesn't matter. Doing the correct thing doesn't matter. The outcome to Democrats does not matter unless, once again, it's a positive outcome for them or negative outcome for Democrats. And that carries over into a bunch of stuff. For example, everyone was mad. Everyone was mad. Did I forget to mention that tarifflation never happened? That's right. Tarifflation never materialized because the tariffs against all of the other countries never really got put in place. They're on pause for 90 days while we negotiate. Because once again, Trump saw what was going down. He saw what was happening. He said, well, maybe not. We talked about it on yesterday's show. It had happened so quick, I didn't even have a chance to have it as an official part of the program. But we saw that it happened, right? President Trump, here's the thing, and President Trump is about outcomes, right? He cares what the outcome is. And he said, we need to do what's best for America. And guess what he did? That's exactly what he did. As is being reported by Breitbart here. Not only, by the way, did tarifflation not happen, but guess what? Inflation actually went down. Consumer price index actually went down. It says here, being reported by Breitbart, U.S. consumer prices fell in March, pushed down by a decline in the price of goods and defying predictions that President Trump's tariff plans would push prices up. This was the first drop in consumer prices in nearly 3 years and only the second decline since inflation accelerated under Joe Biden to the worst rates in decades. The consumer price index fell by 0.1% compared to the previous month after climbing each month since July 2022. Economists had forecast prices would rise by 0.1%. Core consumer prices, a measure that excludes volatile food and energy prices, rose by 0.1% far less than the 0.3% expected. This was the smallest rise in core prices since President Trump's first term as president. Let me say that again. It's the first rise since his first term as president. In other words, things only got better. Things consistently got worse since he was no longer president. No, they consistently got worse under Joe Biden. Plus, we actually saw inflation go down. Inflation was 2.8%. Is actually 2.4% this month, right? Once again, inflation is going down. But they said it wouldn't happen. They said Trump couldn't do it. Now, mind you, we're still above where we want to be, right? Inflation, as a general rule, you want it to be at 2%. 2% or under is healthy, right? That's exactly kind of where that's the realm in which we want to be when it comes to inflation. But in this particular case, it's an improvement month over month. Once again, Trump hasn't even hit 100 days yet. He has not even hit. I'm not going to sit here and try to do the math here in front of you, but it hasn't been 100 days. And yet inflation is already down significantly. We're only 0.4% away from the target of where inflation should be. I think that's pretty darn good, if you ask me. Anyway, in fact, gas prices, and this is the big one, gas prices are going down everywhere in the entire country, with the exception of the West Coast wall of liberalism. In the Northwest, prices are slightly higher. They're still in the $3 range. Most places in the country, they're down in the $2 range. In California, they're up in the $4+, almost around the $5 range. Right now in California, at least here in Sacramento, it's up around $4.50 to $5. That's because California uses a different brand or different mixture of fuel than does the rest of the country. And so the refineries that tend to feed most of the West Coast, well, they tend to feed California, Nevada, parts of Arizona, and parts of the Northwest. But all that having been said, inflation's going down. All I can say is winning. I mean, like I said, and I know some of you out there are like, well, you never criticize Trump. And no, yes, I do. And I do. When he does something wrong or when he makes a mistake, I point it out. Well, guess what? He's not making a mistake. He may have been, in my opinion, on the whole thing with the tariffs, he may have been headed the wrong direction. But I'm like this. He may have been planning to go that way, but when the time came for him to take the off-ramp, he took the off-ramp. So he gets full credit for making the right decision. 100% credit for making the right decision. And once again, Democrats are losing their mind. That's why they're trying to accuse him of insider trading. I ain't gonna lie. It's the funniest thing. I got to tell you, I was telling a friend of mine this, and I don't remember, I may have said this on the show or not, but I'll go ahead and I'll say it now. Things are going so right for the Trump administration. I mean, some of the decisions that he is making just seem to be so right on. You got to wonder, is he the Antichrist? Yeah, Democrats. Democrats are going to throw that one out there. But that's just being funny. Just being funny. It is a joke. It is a joke for those of you out there. Don't go cutting this off and saying, Craig thinks Donald Trump is the Antichrist. No, I don't. I just think that he is making a lot of right decisions. And I think he deserves to get credit for that. I think he does not deserve to be accused of insider trading and accused of cheating and accused of nefarious motives the way Democrats tend to want to do. But anyway, I'm just one person. I'm sure a lot of you out there believe me. Now, we know that the midterm elections are coming up. And we know that right now with Bruen being the way that it is, with Bruen now in place and now the courts now starting to take stronger positions supporting the Second Amendment, we now know, and we know that because of that, federal law is not going to be on the side of the anti-gunners. So now they're doing what they tend to do, what they like to do, is they're now going after the states. And one of the things they're going to be going after, they're going after attorneys general throughout the nation. This being reported by the folks over at Truth About Guns. It says here, Bloomberg's Everytown earmarks $10 million to elect anti-gun state AGs. The gun haters at Michael Bloomberg's funded group Everytown for Gun Safety have announced that they plan to spend millions of dollars to elect state attorney generals who they say will stand up for the law, code for help them in their efforts to curtail private gun ownership and kill the Second Amendment. With the goal of spending $10 million, the group will support the work of elected Democrat AGs in up to 10 key swing states across the 25 and 26 election cycles. This will likely include races in Georgia, Minnesota, Nevada, Wisconsin, and Virginia. Quote, attorneys general have been steadfast partners when it comes to holding the gun industry accountable, and now they're the tip of the spear in defending our system of checks and balances. Everytown President John Feinblatt said in a press release announcing the plan. When laws are considered optional, public safety is at risk. And that's why Everytown is making sure attorneys general know we have their back. Now, it's important for you to understand that the attorneys general that they're talking about are these George Soros-funded attorneys general. So Michael Bloomberg is not the only billionaire that is putting money into their coffers. Keep in mind, you have district attorneys and attorneys general who've been elected, who've been funded by George Soros. At one point, 60% of Americans were living under these folks. A number of them have since been recalled or lost re-election. So that number's gone down. I don't know exactly what those numbers are right now. But one of the biggest municipalities where that's happened is in the county of Los Angeles, where they now have Nathan Hochman, who is not an anti-gun George Soros-funded district attorney. But anyway, all that having been said, so now they're looking to, once again, to expand that. They're looking to expand the number of people, places they can go, so that they can do things like sue firearms retailers and firearms manufacturers, where they can regulate them out of business. That's a big one. They want to put in place regulations that will make it almost impossible for these small businesses, the retailers in particular, to be able to comply. Places that are going to put in place carry regimes that are going to make it very onerous for you to be able to carry. In other words, you'll have a right to carry, but you'll be restricted in terms of when, where, and who. And that's going to change based on where you live, depending on the state, depending on the county, depending on the city. Those numbers or those facts will in fact change. And that's exactly what they want. They want confusion, because when they put confusion out there, you're going to get some people who are going to decide, look, it's too confusing to comply with the law, so I'm just not going to carry. Or I'm not going to own a store. I'm going to shut down my store. They're going to make it, they want to make compliance very, very difficult. And if you decide you're still going to do it and you make a mistake in compliance, you will then lose your rights. You will lose your business. You will lose your freedom. You will lose your right to carry. That is their goal in all of this, is they want to make it so confusing that many people will decide, yeah, I'm not going to test it. And I don't blame people for not wanting to test it. Not everybody's in a position where they feel comfortable in the I shall not comply community. But once again, this is their goal. And they are not shy about it. So know this, and I'm just going to throw this out there for you, because I've run for office. I've run for Congress, considering running again. But I'm going to tell you this, folks in the 2A community, I'm just going to be real with you. I know you give significantly to organizations that fight for your rights. You give to the Firearms Policy Coalition. I know you give to NAGR. National Association for Gun Rights. I know you give to the Second Amendment Foundation. I know you give to gun owners of America and gun owners of in this case, California. I know you give to the NRA. But here's the thing. You're giving to them in order to go before electeds who may or may not be supporters of the Second Amendment or advocates of the Second Amendment. How about you support candidates? Support candidates. Give money to candidates who are advocates for the Second Amendment, right? And give it to them early. There's a reason why there's a successful liberal group it's called Emily's List. It's for female Democrat candidates. It's called Early Money is Like Yeast. That's because early money, like $500 early is like $1,500 late in a race. It literally is, because it multiplies, right? Keep in mind, there are billionaires on the other side of the 2A argument. George Soros is a billionaire, right? He's a billionaire. Michael Bloomberg, you think $10 million is anything to Michael Bloomberg? It's nothing to Michael Bloomberg. William Buffett, billionaire. And that's not even to include the multimillionaires that are giving money on the left. Find the people who are advocates for the Second Amendment, and support them. Support them early. Help them out. Get down with them. Anyway, moving right along. Mental health disorders lead to political protests. And yes, we all knew liberalism is a disease. We know this. It's a mental health issue. But now there is another study that will verify it. And this one here is from over, it's physics.org. I think that's phys.org. Just PHYS. So maybe it's physicians.org. I don't know. I don't know what it's short for. I probably should have looked that up before I pulled the article. But anyway, it says here, study uncovers a brain circuit linked to the intensity of political behavior. It says people diagnosed with various mental health disorders can sometimes start engaging in intense political behavior, such as violent protests, civil disobedience, and the aggressive expression of political views. So far, however, the link between political behavior and the brain has been rarely explored, as it was not viewed as central to the understanding of mental health disorders. Researchers at Harvard Medical School, Stanford University School of Medicine, and Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine recently carried out a study investigating the neural underpinnings of political behavior. Their findings, published in Brain, unveiled the existence of a brain circuit that is associated with the intensity of people's political involvement, irrespective of their ideology or party affiliation. Quote, this paper started out as a collaborative effort that focused on learning how to help people better come together and thrive alongside Stephanie Balters at Stanford. Shan Siddiqui, first author of the paper, told PHYS or physician.org. We have previously shown that when damaging a brain circuit causes a behavior, therapeutic stimulation to the same circuit may reduce the same behavior. Extending the principle, we went searching for circuits involved in behaviors that might bring people together or drive them apart. As a part of the recent study, Siddiqui, Balters, and their colleagues worked closely with Jordan Grafman at Northwestern University. Grafman, who collected behavioral and neural data from individuals who sustained injuries to specific regions of the brain, suggested investigating people's political behavior. As a neuroscientist, I don't often ask patients about their political behavior, but it could be an important change that occurs in neuropsychiatric disorders, said Siddiqui. If we can find a brain target that modulates political behavior, we can figure out how to help patients increase or decrease that behavior. Now, why is this important? And they go out of their way to say, well, this is regardless of their political ideology. I want you to keep in mind, and I will acknowledge, we will acknowledge January 6th, but I want you to think about violent, over-the-top protests, political protests or behavior or positions that have been taken, right? And keep in mind that overwhelmingly we are seeing this occur on the left, right? Look at what's happening. You see they're burning down Tesla dealerships. They're going after churches and or that are affiliated with crisis pregnancy centers. We see that they are attempting to assassinate the president, not once, but twice. We saw a study just recently where 55% of those on the left believe it is justifiable to assassinate the president of the United States. You gotta wonder, is liberalism a mental health disorder? I say yes. Or is it caused by a mental health disorder? Are the extreme actions that they tend to take caused by a mental health disorder? I think all you got to do is watch some of the videos that people have been taking from some of these protests, and I think you will agree that, yeah, some of these folks are mentally ill. Now, I do know folks on the left who are not mentally ill. They are well-meaning but misinformed in some cases. I think in some cases they are emotionally in a position where they just don't like Republicans or Donald Trump. In many cases, they believe that the Democratic Party is who they believe they once were. There's a lot of reasons. But there are people, and by the way, just so you know, there are people in both parties who suffer from this mental health issue. There are. I will acknowledge that. But I believe that there are far more of them on the left. Way far more of them on the left. All you have to do is look at when Barack Obama was president, how many violent conservative protests did you see, right? How many assassination attempts did you see? When Joe Biden was president, how many did you see, right? Anyway, good story. Good thing for y'all to check out. All right, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. All right, this first one is interesting. It's got what appears to be a school principal, a parent, and their child. Here it says, your son was caught applying logic to another child's core beliefs. Because we all know that logic and critical thinking play absolutely no role in decision making, in particular when it comes to schools these days, because they don't believe in logic and critical thinking. They believe in indoctrination. They don't want to teach them how to think logically or critically. They just want to indoctrinate them. All right, our second one here. This is one. It appears to be you got a Democrat here who's got the what looks like it's supposed to be the bat signal out, but it's actually got a meme of the thing of the radical left with the Molotov cocktail and a hammer. It's the funniest thing. It says basically they're calling on the radical left, and that's what you got a lot of people on the left doing right now. They literally are like, you got some people who are like, okay, can we get common sense back in the Democratic Party? You do have those folks. I have a brother who I think I consider to be one of those folks. But then you have those folks who are the ones who we're talking about are the ones who are burning Teslas. They're the ones who are attempting or calling for the assassination of Elon Musk and President Trump. They're the radicals. They're the ones who believe that misogyny, transphobia, and bigotry and racism were the reason why Donald Trump won the election. But I digress. And then you got this one here. This is a cartoon by Mr. Bronco. It says, it's got Donald Trump there, the Roadrunner, saying tariff, tariff. And you've got the globalist who is the Wile E. Coyote super genius. And he's, needless to say, run off the cliff. And he's pointing at Donald Trump, calling him a bully. Anyway, and then you got this last video here. And if you guys have seen this comedian, he's hilarious. This video is no exception.
I like TV shows that make you feel good. Like, you know, that show where they take the ugliest, fattest women and put a bunch of makeup on them and dress them up. The View.
That is he pretty much described the view. Anyway. All right, folks, well, that brings us to near the end of our program. But before we go, we got one last thing we're going to do, and that's give another quick shout out to our sponsors. We've got Hitman Industries rifle and pistol caliber barrels at any length available for you to purchase at hitmanindustries.net. We've got the California Republican Assembly. Check them out at cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market, available at hogholsters.com. That's helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, you will be able to find all things tactical except the gun at uscombatgear.com. All right, folks, that's going to be it for today. We will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow will be Free for All Friday. We look forward to hearing from you. Y'all have fun, stay safe, and if you get a chance, send a few down range for us. For us, not at us. Just say it. Anyway, y'all take care. Have fun. We will see you tomorrow.